Welcome to Sensor Noise podcast about photography, where we are just filled with news this week.
Oh my god! Yeah.
As last week was the CP Plus show in Japan, which I guess there used to be Photokina in Europe, which was like the big camera show,
Right.
and then that just sort of went away in 2020 and didn't come back because they were like, camera industry is going. So CP Plus has sort of taken the crown. You know, it's like sort of how we had what was the, like Comdex or whatever before, many moons ago. Now it's CES. So yeah. Or like how we used to have E3 and now we don't have E3.
Nothing's really taken over the E3 mantle.
Yeah.
I'm here on the YokohamaJapan.com official visitors guide with the details for this CP Plus convention. And it's also advising me that I could go to the Cup Noodles Museum, which is in the same city as CP Plus.
I think that's actually a pretty good idea. I think you should report back.
I should go to the Cup Noodles Museum.
Yeah.
I would enjoy that quite a bit.
Imagine doing photography at the Cup Noodles Museum.
I know, right? It looks like you can make your own custom cup noodles.
See, now that's the dream, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, anyway, a lot happens from this place.
Many announcements to be had, yes. Lots of news. News-heavy episode this week. So if you don't like news, maybe just tune in next week.
Exciting for us, being film enjoyers. Lomography has made a new at-home film development tool.
Yes.
That makes things easy. This Lomo Daylight Developing Tank.
I got the email for this and I just thought, oh, okay, they made a developing tank. That's not very special. But it's actually pretty interesting because what they have done is incorporated into their tank a film canister unloading mechanism.
Yes.
So you don't need a dark bag or dark room to basically pull the film out of the canister and put it onto a reel and then into a tank. Instead, you basically put the canister. You have to fetch the leader out of the film canister, which can be a little tricky. But then you basically put the canister in on this contraption and then put it into the tank where it is then light sealed, and then you basically crank it and it will unload the film into a reel that can then be developed with chemicals without being exposed to light. So
it says here it even has a tool that's built in, a film retriever to extract the leader from the canister.
Yeah, built-in film retriever and cutter as well. Yep. So, the only thing about this is it's 35 millimeter only. Although I guess that sort of makes sense with the special mechanism that would work with like a 120 reel.
But I imagine you could make one with 120.
You could. It would be a bit more complicated, but if they're up for it. So
I still think this is really cool. It's $79. It's going to start shipping this month, they say.
$79 isn't bad for something like this,
no,
considering
really
all the other kit you'd have to get otherwise. It does say here, not suitable for use by children under 36 months. So please bear that in mind. Yeah.
Yeah. They say you can either do agitation or inversion development, whatever you want. It's got a big strap you can wrap around the whole thing, so it won't
it's
leak.
Kind of a comical, like it reminds me of like a camping,
really
cookware kit kind of thing that you can just like clamp onto it. I guess that's I don't know. That's one way to make sure that it doesn't leak out. But
yeah. But this is cool. I'm a big fan of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a very cool idea to make it just easier for people to experiment.
It's certainly an interesting
at home.
It's an interesting development over your typical like Patterson style tank.
Yeah.
Which is what most of these things kind of are.
What I hope is this makes it easier for people to experiment with different development techniques to get, weird, make weird stuff with it. That's sort of what I hope people will do.
Yeah, develop your film in coffee and
see what happens.
That kind of thing.
So that the labs you send it to don't tell you that you're insane.
Yeah.
We got on the expensive end of insane things, we got Leica with a new lens.
Okay,
they
great.
got a $4,000 50 millimeter 1.4 prime.
That's too expensive. Why
agree.
is it a 50 millimeter 1.4 should not cost that much?
Well, you see, this one's a redesign of a lens they designed in 1959, so that really, you need that. I mean, it looks good if you look at the picture of it. I mean, it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks nice.
It's got that classic silver styling and whatnot, but yeah, this is preposterous that it's this expensive.
I just don't. I've never really. Yeah, I've never really understood the appeal of Leica stuff. I guess I don't know. Just doesn't work on me. I guess
no, it doesn't. The looks do. I have to say, I like how it looks, but I'm not going to spend that much money just to get something that looks like this.
Yeah.
You can spend half as much and get something from Fuji.
Right.
Not even half, a quarter as much to get a nice lens from Fuji like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. And especially considering the next news item, which is Viltrox, a company who makes very cheap lenses, is trying to make actually good ones now, it seems.
Yeah.
Even though they're still extremely cheap. So they have a 25 millimeter 1.7 Air APS-C lens, which is let's see here, $176 for this lens.
These look good.
Yeah,
they look pretty well built, I would say.
They are quite
from
good.
The photos. So,
and there's a Chris Nichols video where he reviews one of these things, and he's like, for $179, this is a pretty good deal.
Yeah,
it's kind of an insane deal, especially if you're on APS-C. This is a really good deal.
Mm-hmm.
They have it for E mount, Z mount, and X mount. Sorry, Canon users, once again, but yeah,
Canon has decided that you still don't get lenses. So
they sure have. But 1.7, pretty good. And it also has a USB-C cable built in, a plug built in, so you can do firmware updates very easily. You don't need one of those separate docks that some of them do. It's just got a port on it. It doesn't have any weather sealing, which is kind of the downside. But hey, whatever.
That's the trade-off you get for the price, I suppose.
So this now adds to the rest of their Air series. There's now 3 lenses in this Air series. So there's this 25 millimeter 1.7. There's a 35 millimeter 1.7 and a 56 millimeter 1.7 as well. So I got 3 of them, and they're all, I believe they're all $179. So you can really outfit yourself pretty well with these if you have an APS-C camera. And then they also are making nice lenses. So they've got 3. There's an AF 50 millimeter f2. There's a 85 millimeter 1.4 Pro, and then there's a 35 millimeter 1.2 Lab, whatever that means. So they're making real nice ones as well, which is really interesting.
Genuine things.
They even have a Plena competitor. They have a 135 1.8 as well, which I believe is $900 in this Lab series. So that's pretty good. I can't complain with more affordable third-party lenses, because it really has felt lately like Sigma is kind of dropping the ball here. They used to be the leader in this area, and now they don't even make Nikon lenses anymore.
Well, we'll get into what they've been spending their time on briefly, but
there's also a whole bunch. I don't know much about these ones, but there's also a whole bunch of cinema lenses from Viltrox as well. They've got anamorphic ones and ones with the autofocus gearing and all this stuff. So they're trying to make cinema lenses happen too. And the last thing that's very interesting is they've created a portable charger for Nikon and Sony and Canon and Fuji batteries.
I'm interested.
So it's a little power brick, like a battery bank, like a LiPo battery with a dual battery charger on it, like in it. So you kind of put your batteries in this thing, and then this thing charges your batteries for your camera from its internal battery. So that's kind of interesting. And it will do USB-C PD as well. So you could just carry this as your battery charger, charge this thing up, and then, have extra juice on the go. Kind of neat. I wish this is another space where I wish all of the camera manufacturers would have one battery standard that they would sort of coalesce around.
Yeah,
because you have to buy a separate one for each of the manufacturers for this thing.
Yeah.
Which is dumb.
Yeah, no, everyone should just use Sony InfoLithium and be done with it.
Yeah, that'll solve it, right?
Yeah. Yep. That's it. That's all you need.
What other lens? Zeiss is back. That's the other big lens news. They've decided to make lenses again.
Yeah.
So they've got
high-end
50 millimeter and 85.
ML. Yeah.
50 and 85 1.4.
For quite a lot of mounts, including Canon RF.
Which is kind of surprising.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
I didn't really see them returning to lenses. It sort of seemed like they had given up.
Yeah. Well, maybe they saw the writing on the wall. They're like, oh, cameras are kind of picking up a little bit. So.
And for Nikon as well. Canon RF, Nikon Z, and Sony E. You can get them for all of those.
Yep.
If I remember correctly, the Zeiss lenses before used to be sort of limited, right? They, at least in the early days of mirrorless, it was only for Sony, right?
I think so, yes. So
like they were the nice ones for Sony.
Sony still has a partnership with Zeiss for, like, the lens on my RX100 is technically a Zeiss, or it's a Zeiss branded lens, So
I guess before Sony made the G Master series, these were like the nice ones.
Yeah,
I think
the Master.
The G Master, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what would make you choose this over the equivalent for your manufacturer. Like, why would I choose the Zeiss 85 1.4 over the Nikon 85 1.2?
Yeah, that is a good question.
I'm not really sure.
Will you be able to tell the difference? I would suspect.
I don't know.
Not.
Especially since the Zeisses are, we should mention, they're all manual focus only, also.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, so that also makes it,
yeah,
much less appealing.
Maybe for video people?
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the, like, gears that you'd use for doing focus pulls and stuff, so you can't really use it for that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it's a nice lens, but I don't understand in this market where all of the manufacturers have their own, like, very good, very wide primes.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure where this fits.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's a good question.
Especially with it only being 1.4, by the way, because everyone else has 1.2s at these focal lengths now.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd figure they would also want to do that. I don't know.
Yep.
You put this next one.
Panasonic. Did I put this next one in?
I think so.
Where are we? Oh.
Maybe I did. I don't know. We got Panasonic S1R2 because you got to put more numbers in there.
The Panasonic Siri is what I thought when I saw this, but it's the S1R Roman numeral 2.
Right. That's right.
Because they have adopted the Sony naming scheme, I guess.
So Panasonic has not given up on making SLRs or making, flagship cameras. I sort of figured
Yeah.
that they had and were going to do video, but they're back. And we got a new one.
This just looks like a Sony A7. I got to be honest with you.
It's really uninspired.
Yeah.
But I guess people like the Panasonic ones. I don't know.
People seem to like the Panasonic for video a lot. Yeah.
So maybe that's what this is for.
That's what this is for. It's 8K.
It's got a much better autofocus system. It has 40 FPS blackout free shooting. Very high ISO sensitivity, 44 megapixels. It
has a new high performance L squared engine. I don't know what that means. The article doesn't say.
4K 120.
I'm guessing that's their image processor chip, but yeah.
It can do internal ProRes RAW. That's pretty nice. So you don't need an external recorder for that.
Open gate 6.4K 30p and up to 4K 120p. So
maybe this is just for video. I'm not sure.
It seems very much aimed at that, yes.
Because if I remember from all of the other Panasonic videos that I've watched about these things, they have good autofocus engines for video specifically. And for photos, they struggle.
Yeah.
They don't really do that well.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting niche to because I believe the petapixel folks mostly use.
Yeah, they shoot on Panasonic.
Yeah, which I was surprised to see the first time. I was like, really?
As we've said before, so you're going to make a professional camera for video specifically, and you're going to put exactly 1/4 inch tripod hole on it.
Yeah,
and not why. Why are you doing this?
It should look and be styled exactly like a 1990s film SLR.
Seriously. Why?
That's the aesthetic that we've converged to.
Cover it in mounts. Sony is the only company that seems to be doing this correctly.
Yeah, that thing should give me the, what is that phobia, that's fear of holes?
Trypophobia?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it should be giving you that.
I need to have that when I look at it.
It does look like it has a fan.
I went to the Wikipedia page.
Yeah, don't look at the Wikipedia page. You don't want to.
The photo on there makes me feel uncomfortable. I guess I do see. I don't like that. Ugh.
I do see an air intake on this. It is an interesting spot. It's under. If you look at the bottom view of the camera on B&H, there's an air vent intake under where the the SLR viewfinder prism would be. It looks like that's where the air intake is. So it's kind of covered from, the weather, I guess.
Yeah.
So I bet this one doesn't overheat like the Sonys or Canons do. Maybe that's enough.
That's a plus. Yeah.
Does do direct to SSD USB-C shooting as well. So you can slap on a big, Thunderbolt SSD and get,
that's pretty neat.
Pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good speeds there. So good. I guess if you're a video person, go nuts.
Sigma had a big whole thing. They've announced 2 lenses. They have a 16 to 300 millimeter and a 300 to 600 millimeter that they have unveiled.
Which seem to kind of only be for Sony and L mount.
Yes.
And nothing else?
At least right now.
So that's kind of annoying.
But you are meant to put these lenses on their brand new camera, the Sigma BF mirrorless camera.
To be honest, I never thought they would make another flagship camera. I thought they were done with that.
This is a weird camera, in both good and bad ways. It's a unibody aluminum. It is just like a big rectangular slab.
Yep.
There's one button on the front of the camera, which is the lens release. On the back of the camera,
no grip at all.
There's no grip. On the back of the camera, there are relatively few buttons. There's a dial with a center button, and then 3 buttons for playback power and option.
Right.
There's no EVF. There's no card slot at all. You only
Nope.
get 230 gigabytes of internal storage.
Which, come on. They're taking the wrong ideas from Apple here. That's not enough.
This strikes me as sort of this is like if Teenage Engineering made a camera, this is what it would look like.
That's a really good point. It does feel like that. Yeah.
It's a 24 megapixel backside illuminated CMOS sensor, which is, the huge.
Well, you see, Andrew, it has a thumb grip, so
it does have a thumb grip,
which they're very clear about calling out. And a thumb grip is just a little 45-degree angle oval.
Yeah, This is very interesting. I don't really know who it's for.
Oh, I do. I know exactly who it's for.
Dentists.
Yes, dentists and ATP listeners.
Oh. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
You would not they did it. They covered this on the Accidental Tech podcast last week, and they were like, wow, it looks so good. It's like, yeah, you would.
It's definitely a camera that I think yeah, it's definitely a camera that I think prioritizes design over functionality.
Absolutely. And
so if you like that,
it's going in the totally wrong direction for design for what people seem to want these days.
Yeah.
They want the retro aesthetic of the, Fuji X series. But you're giving them a Dieter Rams featureless slab here.
A featureless slab, which I'm not even sure you can put a strap on this thing. I don't see any.
There is a strap attachment.
Okay.
Or
it doesn't. They sure go to great lengths to not
it's
have it shown
on the
in
right side. There's a little circle.
Okay. Yeah.
And it looks like you could fit one of those Peak Design loops through this.
Yeah.
It does shockingly seem to have a tripod mount. I sort of figured they would just not do that.
Yeah.
Removable battery? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I can't tell. They don't say, and I don't see one, but that doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's interesting.
I am very confused by this camera.
Yeah.
It is totally it's just for looks. It's weird.
Yeah. It's the sample images from it are fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
They're not anything, super special or
it's
whatever.
A 24.6 megapixel full frame backside illuminated CMOS sensor, which means it's that Sony one that Nikon uses and everybody uses.
Right.
It's a Z6 III sensor probably.
Yep.
So yeah, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, the one thing it does say that it has is it has a little vibration motor. The controls are haptic response. So I'm not even sure if these buttons, the buttons aren't even real buttons. They're touch buttons. That was the other thing.
Okay. Interesting. Not sure that that's necessary.
I don't even think that that's a good idea for a camera, for the buttons not to be real.
Well, or to have a vibration motor in your camera.
Well, yeah, that also
typically I want the opposite of that.
There's when you take a Hasselblad, you look at the Hasselblad the cubes, right? Mm-hmm. Those are featureless as well, but you attach stuff to them.
Yeah.
To make them have more features.
Right.
This doesn't even have a place to attempt to attach.
You can attach a lens to it. Yeah.
And that's it. There's nothing for you to attach to here.
Yeah. There is not even a hot shoe for a flash.
No, you're not putting a flash on this at all.
Yeah.
I don't even think it has a way to trigger one, even if you wanted to.
I don't think it does. Yeah.
Because there's not even an accessory port or anything. Maybe you could get one out from the USB-C. Maybe.
Oh God. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
And no EVF either, which
it's fine. That doesn't bother me. If you want an EVF, there's plenty of options. If you don't want one, there's plenty of options. That part is...
Where is the Fuji X Pro 4?
Yeah, that's a great question.
This is what I want to know. What else? Oh, Manfrotto Has new tripods.
Oh, we should mention also there's a Petapixel article about this Sigma. They took a tour of the factory for this camera. They can make only 9 of these per day. Apparently.
Okay, so yeah, not exactly going to be a volume.
These machines work in teams of 2 over the course of 7 hours in order to produce the camera. Therefore, Sigma can only make 9 of these per day.
Jeez.
Come on, guys. Really? That's probably just the milling machines, honestly. I can't imagine that the electronics are that complicated.
No.
But if you need like a 5-axis CNC just to make the body, then...
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, you got to machine it out of a single billet of aluminum. So
it really makes you understand how difficult the amount of machining that Apple does is.
Yeah.
Like, they do it crazy fast and at insane volumes when other people try to do it. Yikes.
I like to think like Sigma only has like one bridge port that's been adapted with a CNC controller. In this
article, they say they purchased... How many did they buy? They only bought a handful of these machines.
Oh, yeah.
They needed to acquire 6 brand new machines capable of milling these bodies. So they only have 6 of these milling machines.
Yeah.
And it does say they are 5-axis CNCs. So each one takes 7 hours to produce one body.
Yeah. That's...
Jeez.
Yeah. You know...
Try it. Look, it's cool, but maybe pick a different design that you don't need a 5-axis machine to make.
Yeah.
We got new tripods.
New tripods
which are
dropped.
Nice. Manfrotto's got 2 new tripods designed for both photo and video. There's a aluminum and a carbon fiber version of both the photo and the video one. And the carbon fiber still not coming down in price, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
Still $700.
Carbon fiber isn't that expensive anymore.
I know, it's
what
not.
Are we doing?
I know. I don't understand. These should not be that expensive.
It's not like it's not a rarefied material anymore. Yeah.
Especially with Manfrotto, like they use more standardized parts than like a Peak Design. These are just carbon fiber tubes. You can order them off of McMaster. This is not... It's not impossible.
Well, maybe that's why they're expensive, is because they're ordering them off of
that could be. It does look like they have an interesting thing. I'm not exactly sure how this works, but it looks like the middle part, the column, can be switched so that it goes out at a 90-degree angle instead of standing straight up. So that's kind of neat. I don't know how exactly you would use that in a functional way, but it looks like it's possible to do.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then, what else?
Next we have Xiaomi.
Xiaomi, they want you to have a big lens on your phone.
They have. So this is
they got a Leica partnership.
Oh yeah, and this is part of Mobile World Congress, which is another big
one
trade
of
show
things,
that's happening now as we record this. Basically, it's a MagSafe lens with a sensor on it.
Yeah,
that you stick on the back of your phone.
Well, there's 2 concepts. So one of them is the lens with a sensor stuck on the back. And then they got another one. If you look at the second link there, these are the concept devices, which is basically on the back of the phone is just a bare sensor under some glass.
Yeah.
And then you attach the lens, like a real lens, to this thing.
Okay. So regarding the first thing, the magnetic attached lens, Sony would like a word. They tried this. The Sony Q series or QX series, which included so you had the Sony you had the Sony CyberShot QX10, QX30, QX100, which were basically lens sensors assemblies that you sort of held on to the back of your smartphone.
Right.
But then they also went further and made the ILCE QX1, which is basically just a sensor with an E-mount. And so you could put an E-mount lens on there, and it even had a little pop-up flash. And they had this in 2014.
Yeah.
So this is not...
You can still purchase these things on Amazon for $150.
Yeah. And to be honest, given the Sony Alpha series, the small cameras, the Alpha 6000 series, this isn't that old.
No, it's really not.
It's 20 megapixels. It's fine.
I'm going to make this the show art because I found a picture of this thing strapped to like an old Samsung Galaxy, and it looks absurd.
And then regarding the one where it's basically just a giant sensor on the back of your phone, like I feel like this is just, we're heading back towards like the Nokia Pure View. Like kind of where they just put a giant sensor. Now those didn't have lens mounts like these do, but the Nokia PureView 808 was 2012, and what basically had this 41 megapixel 1.2 inch sensor on the back of the camera.
But I feel like the problem with both of these is that people don't want to carry around this other thing. Like the whole convenience of the smartphone camera is that it's built into your phone.
Right. I mean, I feel like they'd be better suited figuring out how to engineer a sort of point and shoot like super zoom type lens into the back of but they've already kind of done that, because like the way that we got around that, instead of needing a lens, like in a point and shoot camera where it like extends out, is that you just have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 separate sensors, all with different lenses in front of them, and switch between them.
Or the periscope thing. That's the other way to get around it, right?
Right.
It's interesting, but it doesn't solve the problem, really. These lens attachments, it's just people are not going to carry these. They're not going to carry this extra thing. They're just going to use the camera that's already on the phone. Because we should mention, both of these phones also have regular phone cameras in them still.
Yeah.
So people are just going to use that.
Because they concede that you... yeah. There are going to be times, probably a lot of times, where you don't actually want to carry the giant lens sensor.
No, of course not. Because it's... I mean, if this was a popular thing that people wanted, Sony would have done it.
Consider that this lens sensor assembly of Xiaomi's has a focus ring.
Well, that's an improvement, I suppose.
Are you sold now? Yeah.
Maybe. If I could somehow adapt my Plena onto a really bad 1-inch phone sensor, then we'd be talking.
Snap your phone in half. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I mean, even in these, they're saying that the lens weighs like 5 times what the camera weighs. So it's horrendously unbalanced, too.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is that, like, there's, you got to have a lot of glass if you're going to want a sensor that large.
What if you could get all of the heft and weight of a real camera and burden your phone with it?
And have a slight delay between like the movement of the camera and what you see on the screen, because it has to go via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or something.
So one of these has some kind of, like the one with the magnets has some sort of like fast optical data link that it uses. They're calling it laser link.
Okay.
And it gives them a 10 gigabit connection between the camera and the phone.
Is that just IRDA for the money?
Probably. But they're saying that it shouldn't be that much of a delay between the external camera ring thing.
There's still going to be some delay versus an EVF or something.
I don't think this is it, guys.
Yeah.
I like the initiative, but maybe try.
Let's talk about something practical.
Something practical.
And that is a Tag Vault AirTag camera plate. It's a little Arca Swiss plate that you can screw on.
Yep.
So not only does it give you an Arca Swiss mount for your camera, but it also hides a little AirTag in there.
Yep. Pretty cool.
And
Elevation Lab keeps making cool AirTag stuff.
And you think, well, someone could just unscrew this. And it's true they could, but this requires a T20 Torx security bit.
Right.
So,
which I don't think people are just carrying around.
No, well, speak for yourself, but
this is this is cool.
Yeah.
Elevation Lab is doing all of the work for AirTags that Apple should be doing and isn't. They got ways to attach AirTags to everything.
Yeah, which is kind of amusing because firstly, AirTags should not be the shape that they are. It's very
no, they really shouldn't.
It's just really weird for all the applications that it has. But yeah, there's
but have you even
got one? They have Surface for Milwaukee, which is particularly. So what this is their Surface one, which is basically an AirTag mount that just has 3M VHB adhesive, so it just sticks on really adhesive. Well. But this is particularly color matched to look like Milwaukee red, so that you can stick it to your Milwaukee pack out toolboxes, and no one will notice it's there.
To be there.
Yeah,
I love this. Honestly, I think this is hilarious.
Yeah.
They have examples of sticking it to your toolbox and to your generator. So the two Milwaukee things that you would have.
Yeah. Which way, Western man?
But they've also got, they've got ones to put on your backpack straps. They got the most interesting thing they make is their 10-year battery case, I think.
Oh, yeah. I saw that one. Yeah.
Which replaces the back of the AirTag with a little dingus that lets you power it off of 2 AA's instead of a CR2032.
Yeah.
So it lasts basically indefinitely.
Right.
That's kind of cool.
I have one of their bike ones, which basically goes in between your bottle cage and your bike, which I think is, And then they've got a mountain bike one that goes up the fork.
I have several of these. What do they call these ones? The security cable ones. I have several of these. I put these on my suitcases. Because it's the same. It's a Torx T10 security screw, and it's a cable, a steel cable that holds it on there. Yeah, it's pretty durable. See,
I just put it. I just toss an AirTag in the luggage.
That works, but I feel like you don't get as good range on finding it when it's in the luggage.
Well,
this way it's on the outside, and then it's easy to see and easy to track and hear it. If you need to make the noise or whatever.
All the things you need to track, camera, dog, wallet, bike, Surface strap.
They got a cat one.
Cat, pin, mountain bike, fabric.
The pin is kind of cool, I got to say. It lets you just attach it to any sort of anything because it's just safety pins.
Yeah.
So you can attach it to your children, I guess.
They also have a Surface one that is specifically designed to be aerodynamic as well.
Yeah. So. That's kind of cool. Elevation Lab makes cool little gadgets. I like their stuff.
Yeah.
Good news, everyone. You can now use Photoshop on your phone.
Well,
and moving on, Polaroid has...
That sounds like a terrible idea. I gotta be honest.
They made Photoshop for phones, I guess. I really feel like this should have happened this. To be honest, though, this really feels like something that should have been around for a decade.
That should have been an App Store 1 kind of thing.
Right?
Check out the App Store. You can use Photoshop on your phone.
Yeah. And of course, it's not actually Photoshop, right? It's using some web-based thing. Elements. Well, it's not even Elements. It's something else.
Yeah. Right.
It's like how Lightroom isn't Lightroom Classic. It's a separate thing.
Right.
I don't. This is. Yeah. This should have happened a decade ago. Very strange.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if you really need to do Photoshop on your phone, here you go.
Yep. Polaroid has announced the Generation 3 of its Now and Now Plus instant cameras, which they say promise sharper instant photos across varied lighting conditions.
Okay.
What these are, I don't know, fine. They look fine. What they haven't fixed is that the film is still not very good.
Yeah, that's really the issue with these.
Your images may be sharper. The colors are still and exposure are still going to be very weird.
Oh, but you see this one, the Polaroid Now Plus. You see, they got a Plus one.
Yeah.
And that one lets you control the camera from your phone.
Yes. Well, the previous Now Plus also did that. The problem, I think, is that the aperture goes down to f11 only.
Oh boy.
Not enough, really. It's really not enough.
Yeah.
F11 to f64 in 6 steps. And the lens is optical grade polycarbonate.
Awesome.
So, I don't know.
I mean, they look nice. They have nice colors, but geez, guys.
I've used these and I am not impressed.
Hey, at least it is not $600 like the i2. You know?
Yeah.
It's
that's true.
But they really
is
still too much. But
they really need to work on the film. The film is just
for real.
The quality has been
atrocious. Why is it so bad?
Supposedly it is because, the machines that they are using to make it are very old.
Okay.
And
so
probably in need of replacement
so
and repair.
Make new machines.
But that costs lots of money.
Right. We don't want to spend money these days.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of instant cameras, TT Artisans, which is one of these cheap lens companies, has made a camera, and what they've made is a retro folding Instax camera.
Huh.
This looks kind of neat.
Yeah, this looks... I had not seen this before. This is pretty cool.
It's got a little bellows even, and it shoots on Instax Mini. Check this out. The lens's aperture ranges from f3.5 to f22.
3.5, you say?
Yeah.
This honestly looks really cool. I like this a lot.
Yeah. And I imagine as a TT Artisans thing, this isn't going to cost that much.
No, probably not.
We shall see. Yeah.
They haven't released a lot of details, but...
Frankly, so Instax film is the best quality instant camera film. The problem with Instax stuff is that the cameras are cheap plastic pieces of crap mostly. So something like this that has like a proper lens and proper manual controls and so on is really going to make it usable.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's also completely mechanical. It says there are no electronics required.
Yeah.
In this camera, which is very cool.
However, you might consider a meter, but yeah.
You probably should, but you don't need batteries. It just works. The whole thing works.
This thing has a hot shoe as well.
It's got a bulb mode. It's got let's see what else.
It is very interesting to compare and contrast this with the Polaroids that we just discussed.
Yeah, right. So it looks like this design is based off of the Seagull 203, which was a Chinese camera from 1963.
Yeah.
That's what it looks very similar to.
Which it looks to me a little bit like a Leica with a bellows.
Yeah, kind of.
Pops out. Yeah.
That's kind of what it looks like, yeah.
So
that's cool.
Yeah.
I like this. If it's inexpensive, I'll get one. We have a ton of Instax film kicking around. This would be fun.
Yeah.
And they got colors. They got black, orange, red, and blue.
Colors. Yeah.
Which is kind of nice. I like that. And it's called Folding Instant Camera. So, pretty that's it does what it says on the tin.
Yeah, there you go. And finally, we mentioned last time that Canon was rumored to be announcing a new point and shoot, and indeed they did. It is the PowerShot V1, and it is basically a Sony ZV-1, but Canon style.
Canon.
Yeah. So it's aimed towards vloggers, basically.
It includes the dead cat in the box.
Yeah.
Apparently.
So there you go.
All of the marketing images have the little puffball on top.
Yeah, that's how you know it's for videos, because it has a little puffball on it. So, yeah.
Okay.
The camera, which is positioned as video first, is equipped with Canon Log 3, a built-in 3-stop physical ND filter. So, enjoy that, vloggers.
Okay. And it's the name is confusing too, because we got another camera called V1 now.
Yeah.
Surely we can come up with names that aren't just combinations of a letter and a number, right? Is that too hard to do?
No, you can't. It has to be letter and number. A7,
sometimes
Z6.
number, letter, number. Sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like a ham radio call sign. Jeez.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We can do better than this. Call it something else.
Yep. That is the end of the camera news. There is no other camera news. If there's stuff that we did not mention, it's because it is fake and did not happen.
That's right. That's right.
Not going to mention the Shure Move Mic 88 Plus because who cares?
We're not going to mention the Xiaomi 15 Ultra by Leica, which has some Leica crap in it.
Oh, Apple announced a new phone, the 16E. It has one camera.
Sure does, which is it's the good one from the other iPhone 16. So
I saw a review of it that's that was like the iPhone 16e is certainly a phone that you can purchase.
It's a product in their lineup, yeah.
It's certainly a phone that is on sale today.
It's the phone that you buy for your mom. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's
right.
That's kind of it, really.
Mm-hmm.
Not that exciting.
Yeah.
But it's like the iPhone SE or whatever it was before. It's like the cheap one. So this is the one that like carriers will give away for free.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
It has wireless charging, but not MagSafe.
That's baffling to me.
Did you see the
really shocking?
Did you see the goofy stand they have for it?
It's got like a little divot on the bottom so it doesn't fall over.
Yeah.
If only there were a technology that Apple had solved already that you could include. If only.
Yeah. Alas.
Come on. Come on, guys. We can...
Oh, by the way, the BF in the Sigma BF stands for boyfriend.
Right.
No, I'm sorry. It stands for beautiful foolishness. You decide if that's better. You decide which one is the joke.
Oh boy. Yeah. So I've noticed on your Instagram, you've been doing a lot of film shooting.
I have been.
Is that accurate?
Yes. As we discussed last time, had a studio thing.
So is that all from the same studio thing?
It is indeed, yes. And so I shot entirely in black and white with both my digital and film because I just haven't shot black and white in a very long time. And it's kind of nice. You really play with the shadows and the highlights a lot more, and the contrast with the black and white photography.
Well, those are the only things that you have.
Those are right. Yes,
it's the shadow and the.
You only have so
light.
many levers. Yeah. So yeah. My results on HP5 were pretty good, which is to be expected. HP5 is like the nominal film. My results on Cat Labs 320 were kind of crappy. And that's the first time I've tried that film. I don't know if I'll get it again. But that's how you find these things out.
I think the pictures that you've posted, I think, look really nice, and the ones that the other models have posted too.
Yeah,
they came out pretty well, I think.
Yeah, and I liked the black and white from my ZF as well. I would pull those into Lightroom and click the auto exposure, and it would brighten them up way too much. And so I would go, no,
Lightroom,
I like it how it is, contrasty and moody. But Lightroom is like, no, you need to be able to see everything in this photo.
I've noticed that with black and white in particular.
It
Lightroom
really doesn't know what to do with it.
It doesn't do a good job with that. It tries.
Which is kind of interesting then, because it forces you, if you're someone like me who is sort of, just often hits the auto button on color photos. It sort of forces you to dive into the sliders and be like, okay, well, what if I crank up the highlights or shadows? And so
I've been
which
using the auto button less and less lately.
It definitely it works well on a certain kind of photo.
I don't know. Maybe I'm taking different kinds of photos, but it seems like it behaves worse lately.
There are definitely times where I hit the auto button and I'm like, what?
Yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why did you make that decision?
Like, they need a little button that I can press that like sends the photo to Adobe with a note that says,
hey,
what makes you think this is a good photo?
Yeah, seriously. I mean, you can do that, but only for the generative AI stuff.
Yeah.
If you do it with that, then you can report bad results.
Yeah. Oh, great. Yeah, lovely.
But I don't think that's what you want.
No.
But yeah, nice. Good work. I like this.
Thank you.
I really need to find.
Yeah, I actually ordered some more black and white film today because I've sort of used all my like normal black and white film, and the only black and white film that I have left is like either really high or low ISO stuff.
Right.
It's like I don't know when I'm going to be able to use the ISO 12 or the ISO 3200.
That's not that helpful.
That's going to be a pretty bright day.
Well, you're not going to be able to use it for at least, let's see, it's March, so 3 or 4 months, and then maybe you'll be able to use it. Maybe
5 months, maybe. Yeah,
maybe by August it'll be bright enough for you to use it.
Probably August. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You could go to Mexico. You could use it there. Take a little vacation.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If they decide to let us in.
I wouldn't blame them if they don't.
Yeah.
Folks, there's my political take. Don't let us in. Americans, we don't need to be let in. It's fine.
Yeah.
You can keep us out for a while. We deserve it.
We come in, we ask for ketchup for things that should not have ketchup. We really do.
And, we go to Japan and we say, why don't we have ketchup for this sushi?
Right. Yeah.
And then they kill us with a katana. And
you ask for mayo and they bring you. You ask for mayo and they bring you Kewpie mayo, and you're like, "No, I want Hellman's.
I want Hellman's, please."
It's like, no, that's what are you doing? Yeah,
Hellman's out here is called Best Foods.
I've heard that. Yes,
it's when we moved here, it was very confusing because the jar is identical, except it says Best Foods instead of Hellman's. Like the logo is the same.
It's an Edie's Dryers situation.
They just did a search and replace.
Yeah, right.
Like in Photoshop. And so the font is the same. Everything is the same. So much so that the first time we bought it, I didn't even notice that it didn't say Hellman's.
Is the font the same? Because for a while it was the exact same, except the font was different.
On Edie's and Dryers, it's different. But on Hellman's and Best Foods, it is so similar that I didn't notice until about 2 weeks after I purchased the mayo. And I looked in the fridge and I was like, am I insane?
Why did they do that?
What happened? Who changed my mayonnaise overnight? Yeah. Didn't I buy Hellman's?
Yeah, you're like, oh, did I buy an off-brand? Like this is the
that's what I thought butter. I had done.
Yeah.
But then I looked and no, that's just how it is.
I do like when the store brands riff on the original brand name.
Absolutely.
I can't believe it's not butter, and the variants of that.
Oops, I can't believe it.
Yeah, what are the various knockoffs of the?
I mean, the knockoffs of the cereal are the best.
I can't believe it's not butter. What? Not butter? Could it be butter? Unbelievable! This is not butter.
Could it be butter?
Could it be butter? Yeah. You'd think it's butter. Wow, I totally thought this was butter. You'd better believe it. Yeah. Kroger's at the time, I don't know if it's still called this, but Kroger's brand was called Butter It's Not.
Butter It's Not.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one here. Who needs butter? Tastes like butter.
We got a bit of a tech tangent I wanted to go on. I understand you have Proxmox, and I want to hear about your setup. What's your rig?
Proxmoxing.
So I guess for those who don't know, Proxmox is a way to build a system of servers where when you take one server offline to do maintenance or, pour a bucket of water on it or whatever, all of the stuff that you have running on there just sort of moves over to the other one. So you don't things don't go down.
Yeah. Well, because Arthur and I are both sickos that like self-hosting stuff.
Yeah. Every time you download this podcast, it's coming straight from my garage.
Yeah.
You may not know that. But
it's not hosted by, Amazon Web Service or whatever. This is an artisanal cottage,
That's right.
Cottage industry, artisanally handcrafted server hosted.
And so I have Proxmox. I use Proxmox to do the same kind of thing, but I have servers. Like I have enterprise servers out there.
Yeah.
I got 3 of them. One of them has all the disks, and the other 2 are kind of compute nodes. And it's been very, very reliable. Like there's no downtime on any of this stuff, which is fantastic. So
I have a mix of goofy stuff. I have cheapo Intel N95 box, one of those ones that you just get off Amazon. I think it's a Camrui or something.
Yeah, who knows?
And then I have 2 HP little mini 1 liter PCs. One is a Elite Desk Mini G4, which has an Intel i7 8700 12 core, and then I have
good, yeah.
And then I have a HP Elite Mini G9, which has an Intel i5 13600T, which is 20 cores.
Ooh.
And 32 gigs of RAM. And that thing is currently running Image, which is an image hosting photo organization thing. And it is currently chewing through the image recognition tasks.
We should make this a topic at maybe next time we can talk about this, but photo organization is a topic we should discuss.
Image is sucking down 82% of the 16 gigs of RAM that is allocated, and it is pinning the 20 CPUs at about 90%.
What does it do for... I guess it'll do OpenVINO, but you don't have like an accelerator on there, right? So it's just running it on...
It is CPU only, yes.
Yikes.
Yep.
Okay.
But this is a tiny little HP machine, so it is like 65 watts or something.
Yeah, at most.
Yeah. And this was a really good deal. Like, if you just need a cheapo computer for a thing... Micro Center has I guess it's an HP Pro Mini G9. At least my Micro Center, for some reason, has a bunch of these. HP Pro Mini 400 G9 with the 13600T, a 256 gig solid state drive and 8 gigs of RAM for $400. And if you try to buy one for anything, a new one for any price near that, you will not be able to.
Oh no, so this is the thing about these minis, and if you're looking for information about these, this is new. This isn't refurbished. This is new.
Oh. So it's $400 and then like $60 for some more RAM.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
It's an incredible deal. I don't, if I had no self-control, I would just have 10 of these things hooked up in parallel.
So if you're interested in this, look up, listeners, look up, what do they call it? Like Tiny Mini Micro is the name for
Project
these things.
Tiny Mini Micro.
All of the big PC vendors have these little tiny boxes that are primarily sold to businesses as this is the computer you put around your office.
Lenovo, HP, and Dell make these PCs they're all about 1 liter in volume. They're these little rectangles.
They're not particularly powerful, but they're secondhand, extremely cheap.
Yeah, so you can get, so if I'm here on Micro Center and you can go to the refurbished desktops. Oh, I clicked all in one desktops. That's not what I want. You can go to refurbished desktops and there are, if I sort by lowest price, there is a HP EliteDesk 800G3 with a 7500T processor, 16 gigs of RAM, 256 gig SSD for $140 US.
HP ProDesk 400G3, so it's kind of old on
Yep.
On eBay for $99. These are very cheap. If you just need a little PC that like runs Chrome or something.
Yeah. Well, they run Windows just fine as long as you're just doing like we have a lot of these around at my work for running things like Zoom rooms and like kiosk kind of functionality for like our inventory system and things like that, where like a Raspberry Pi is like you want to run Windows, for XYZ reason. Yeah.
And now this one I found here in red at the bottom of the description. When power up for first time, please follow instruction on screen and allow OS to finish setup. Connect to internet. Wait a few minutes to activate. No need to. And please don't click anything. That's
I'm confused. What am I supposed to do?
You're supposed to plug it in and leave it alone for a while, and then whatever Windows activation script they've attached to this thing will go and activate Windows for you.
Yeah.
That's so a lot of these, if you buy the OEM ones from businesses, a lot of them come with Windows licenses even. They'll come with like the
especially
COA sticker or whatever.
They will have been refurbished by certified refurbishers.
Yeah.
Which then, so they stick a Windows license on there for next to nothing.
But the thing that people will do with these in this project and what you've done is you can buy like 5 of them for cheap and you cluster them together with Proxmox or Kubernetes or whatever clustering technology you want. And then suddenly you have a reasonably powerful compute cluster for very little money.
Less than $1,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about these two is number one, they vent only on the front and rear, so you can stack them like endlessly and not worry about heat generation. And number two, because these are mostly designed for businesses, they are extremely easy to service. It is literally one screw to pull the case off, and then it's all just right there.
And some of them even have like PCI expansion in them. If you get the ones that are a little bigger, you can get ones with slots. You can put graphics cards or whatever in there.
Yeah, and even the HP Elite Minis, if you go through the trouble, you can find they did have discrete graphics modules for them. They're a little hard to get, but they do have them. But also a lot of these have like a Flex IO port, which allows you, like, there's basically an opening in the back, and you can get different modules for if you want like an HDMI port or a USB-C or 2.5 gig Ethernet or kind of thing. And
fortunately, also pretty much none of them use soldered components yet, so you can swap the RAM and even the CPUs in some of them fairly easily.
That is actually what I did with my EliteDesk G4. That was originally a Core i3 8100T, and I yanked that out and dropped in an i7 8700 because it was like $50 on eBay.
Yeah, if you haven't looked at used CPU prices recently, they're like effectively free. I just upgraded one of my servers
to get rid of these things. Yeah.
I upgraded my servers to two. They're like 28 core Xeons from a few generations ago, and I think I paid $60 for the pair of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's absurd the other how thing, cheap these things are.
The other thing with these 1 liter PCs is that they are pretty much exactly as tall as a 1U of a rack.
Yep. So you can rack
them. You can even find on eBay people make brackets designed to hold these things on racks.
Yeah.
So
if you got a 3D printer, you can make them.
But
exactly.
Yeah.
That's cool. These are fun.
Great.
I'm like,
they're fun. They don't use a lot of power, you know, but they're like way more powerful than a Raspberry Pi.
Right.
And
Windows,
more compatible. Yeah.
A lot of these, I've noticed,
Windows,
a lot of these self-hosting projects that are meant to be more consumer friendly, like channels, it's really easy to spin it up on Windows. And like sometimes driver support is better on Windows for various things. Like it's helpful to have a Windows machine around to run some stuff.
Yeah.
I have a virtual machine for Windows for my scanner, because apparently my scanner can't function on its own without the software running somewhere.
Right. Well, and these have, they have the quick sync for like hardware transcoding of video too.
That helps too.
Yeah.
Image will do that as well. If you have videos that you've taken, I think Image will use it.
And that is also one thing that my Proxmox cluster is cranking on, is doing some transcoding. So yeah, very cool. Yep, I have to restrain myself from going to Micro Center and buying more of them.
That's how they get you.
I don't know. I've always been, I think it's because I grew up with computers that were so big that I've always been fascinated by little tiny computers, because it's like, what do you mean the computer's that small? That doesn't make any sense. Because I remember when the first Mac Mini came out, and I was like, how do you, how fit computer in small box? Well,
I remember my formative moment with this was when they made the Mac Mini server. I don't know if you remember that, where they took the CD drive out and let you put in 2 hard drives instead.
Yeah.
And I was like,
wild
wow,
times.
You should just get a whole rack of these things. Get like 20 of them in a rack. You could have so much stuff in there.
Yeah.
And I've just been sort of rack pilled since then. But in general, I like telling people about this stuff, because I think now more than ever, it's important to have backups of your own data locally, especially your photos. Like, sure, Google Photos works today and iCloud Photos works today, but
it is not profitable for companies to operate those things, and it is only going to become less profitable.
There have been more failed photo hosting services than successful ones at this point.
Yeah.
See Everpix. A local backup is very good. And there is a tool that I found. If you like me, like your primary library of regular photos, not like Lightroom, is in iCloud. There is an iCloud Photos backup Docker container that I found that will slurp down a local copy of your library. And it does work with shared libraries as well if you use those.
Interesting. I might have to look into that.
I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But yeah, you just kind of run this Docker container, and it works. It's pretty straightforward. The login's a little finicky, but it does work.
The other thing I might do, kind of one of the gateways into this, was that I had a lot of, and still do have a lot of Raspberry Pis running like individual applications. Like I have one that is running Home Assistant.
Yeah.
And one that is running an ad block or whatever. And I'm kind of thinking I might migrate those.
So
the Raspberry Pis onto the Proxmoxes.
I would not migrate Home Assistant, but the other things, I still run Home Assistant on its own machine, separate. Okay. It's on a mini N100 mini PC, because if you want to connect USB devices like Zigbee or Z-Wave bridges, it's a lot easier to do that if you run Home Assistant OS and just let it have control over everything.
Yeah.
So I would like to have it be more redundant, but also it's practical to have it on its own little box.
Right.
Especially because Home Assistant OS is so good these days. Like, you can run it as a virtual machine in Proxmox, but I mean, it just kind of manages itself. I don't really touch it. So I don't feel as...
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Do you have Proxmox backup set up? You should do that if you don't.
I think I do. I have to look into that.
You can back it up to like an NFS or SMB volume. It doesn't have to be... you don't have to run the backup server, although the backup server does give you some nice features. Yeah.
Interesting.
Self-hosting. Do it. At least try it. Like, it is...
You can get into it for pretty cheap, as we've discussed.
You can get into it for cheap.
Whether you buy one of these, like, off lease like business PCs, or if you just buy like an N100 Intel N100 box off.
Or I'll say you don't have to buy anything. If you have like a Windows gaming PC,
computer, yeah,
not even an old computer, the one that you use. If you have a gaming PC that's most of the time not doing anything, like you use it for games, but it's just sitting around otherwise, and it's on, like you can try hosting stuff on there and see if you can get something working that's useful for you.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be anything fancy. And then once you're satisfied, like, oh yeah, I like Home Assistant, I want to get a separate thing, then go get one of these little boxes or get a Home Assistant Yellow or whatever.
Yeah.
There's plenty of easy on-ramps that don't cost any money to try running your own stuff. And maintenance has gotten easier, like actually maintaining and running these things is easier than ever. They're pretty low touch. Even the Docker, like you might hear Docker and be scared. There's things like Portainer that make it easy. You don't even have to log in or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, it's nice.
Speaking of, I'm going to work on that some more. So,
good luck.
Anyway, that's been Sensor Noise for this week. We'll be back at you sometime soon. Adios.